You look pleased with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, we had 3 options for what we were gonna talk about today,
Mhm.
and you have the idea of what you do wanna talk about but didn't want to request it, so I just hit record, and now we have to talk about it.
It being whatever we want.
Whatever we want. Free-flowing conversation today.
This is how this started. So, Bracken and I generally kill I don't know how much time before we actually hit the red button, just catching up or chatting about whatever. And I said to Bracken a few minutes ago, I wish we could just BS today. I just feel like BSing with you today, just chatting. And then you said we could do that.
Your
So,
wish is my
really,
command.
I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, yeah. Red button's been pushed, we're here. We didn't plan out a topic in depth with any amount of, like, format or anything at all, so we don't have a backup to go to. Now we go.
No, well, we do. I mean, we have topics in queue that we're going to get to, but today the goal is to teach you nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Right? I think this is actually your fault because you just came off your first Race Brain recording in a long time,
Yep.
in like a month. And what do you guys do on that show?
BS. Or
Right?
complain.
Okay. One and the same, right?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna
Which
make
was
it
a big part of the conversation, which is Race Brain has become so negative.
really?
The reason we started Race Brain was to be a source of entertainment, but information and a voice for the athletes and the competitors in a
Hmm.
sport that doesn't have a ton of coverage. And then we started critiquing and criticizing races or organizations in order to hopefully enact change in the sport. But as Spartan's gone downhill, and Spartan is the sport of OCR North America, our complaining is like almost incessant, like nonstop. And it's to the point where it's clearly not changing and we're tired of being negative. So, like, what do you do there?
No, what's interesting about that is inherently, I mean, knowing you, Jack, and Rich, none of you are inherently negative.
No, but you
Right.
wouldn't know that.
But
If
knowing you personally, you're not.
no. And I don't think if you listen to this podcast, this current podcast, you would call me a negative person, at
No.
least not primarily. But OCR, my passion for it, brings out the worst of my negativity because it's being destroyed. So anyway, we post some questions to the audience of where it goes from here. But yeah, Race Brain's a conversational hour,
Okay.
which is what this started as. And this might go back to it. They are now just a fly on our catch-up session, a fly on the wall of our catch-up session.
Okay. I made a statement. Well, actually, let's start with I am curious to get caught up with your training. We decided to record later today because you were going to go out and get a training run in. How's that going? Kind of like
Yeah, it's going well. It's progressing
okay.
very daintily.
What, daintily? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the right word.
Yeah,
Nothing
being
about you is
dainty with my baby
dainty.
steps.
Well, okay. Are you still healthy?
Yes, completely.
Okay. Have you had any workouts recently that would indicate improvement?
I think today would. Yeah, every run feels like improvement. I'm at that stage. Every
Hmm.
run, something gets a little bit better, whether it's pace or breathing or just ease of effort, or even like how clean my stride feels compared to the day before. Everything's just kind of getting greased and used and getting back to like the way it should be used. So every run feels a little better.
Okay. What happened today?
Today I did my first back-to-back day in a while. Now I've done a couple that were technically back-to-back days, but they really weren't. Like, it was like a speed sprinkle one day followed by a medium long trail run the next day. But the time touching the ground day one was like 12 minutes. So yesterday I did an hour on the trails, and today I did 10 by 3 minutes with 45 seconds rest on the treadmill.
Oh, what
So this is my
percent
first
incline?
time doing some purposeful work the day after spending enough time running that I'll be a little bit depleted coming in today.
Okay.
And it
And
went
how'd
well.
it go? Yeah.
Yeah, I felt sluggish. We just talked about this, how you should feel during your warm-ups and when you're overtrained, when you're under recovered, whatever. I felt a little sluggish. I felt a little stiff getting out of bed. My hips were stiff and tired from snowy trails yesterday. And it got warm yesterday, so they were snowy, slippery trails. And by the end of my warm up, I was sweating and feeling pretty decent. And by the end of the first rep, I was loose and alive and felt good the whole rest of the workout.
See, not traditional logic, but when you see a session like 3 minutes on paper and you're like, I'm going to let myself work today. I'm going to have a structured interval session. I'm ready for this. And then you go, but the work to rest ratio is almost 4-1.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rev limiter. It's a governor. It's not a sexy workout. When you took 45 seconds rest on 3 minutes, and I'll ask you why you landed on 45 seconds rest, but your idea was to snub yourself to temper your enthusiasm.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Whereas somebody who doesn't feel super conditioned might say, I'm going to do 3 minutes with 2 minutes rest or something big so that I can feel good about the integrity of each rep, like the speed I'm able to run. But that logic is flawed, especially if you're trying to build a foundation in which to go somewhere from. So I think that's like, you're practicing, I think, our foundational beliefs by literally giving yourself 45 seconds rest on a 3-minute interval. That's not an easy thing to self-prescribe.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I think when you're fit, 40 to 60 seconds is almost indistinguishable when you're running threshold reps.
I'll second that based on my session today.
Okay. Like you're over recovered maybe by 60, but you're fine to work again at 40. I'm not fit yet. So by lowering it to 45, it ensures that I'm not overworking with 60 seconds rest. I'm not getting 60, but I might have overworked at 60, but I will not overwork at 45-second rest. It's too short. But once I'm fit, I'll be able to
totally
do
reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right. You can push it for a few reps at a minute when you're not fit. But 45, it'll tell you within a rep or two. And so it's just easier to not mess up. And like, again, with my background, I can run a quick rep or two, but the staying power is gone. So I have the ability to screw up a workout. Like, I feel good, fitness, and then it's not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I find the same thing in the gym. If you have been away from the gym for a while and you go load up the bar for a barbell back squat or a bench press, you're like, my raw power hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
Like, wow, it's there. And then you get like to anything high rep or your second or third sets and you are a shell of yourself because your stay power, even in raw power movements, leaves. But you can trick yourself for the first hard effort or two.
I have had that as well these last 2 weeks.
Okay.
I said it. We talked maybe 2 weeks ago about the lifting. I'm doing 5-3-1 adapted. So my main lifts are 5-3-1, round 1, 5, round 2, 3, round 3, 1 plus 1, basically as many as you can get. But then my accessories are 3 to 4 by 12. 4 by 12 is significantly different than 3 by 10, which is what I had been doing. and like I hadn't done lateral raises in a long time. And I had to weight down every round because I started at a comfortable weight for 12. And then in the middle of the second one, I was like, oh no, like you can't fake a lateral raise without kipping, basically, right?
You can always have a little calf raise in there.
Right.
Nick.
But those muscles give out real quick if you're doing it correctly and you're not in shape to do it. So like those kind of things, even curls, I haven't curled in so long. Adding curls back in by rep 3, it's like, I have something real going on in my biceps and they can't handle it right now. But the first 2 reps are fine.
Yeah. So you didn't want to, you respect the 45 seconds enough to know better than to go be a hero out of the gates. So I have been training with consistency for a while and talking about your 45 to 60 second difference. Now that you're saying it, so I had a pretty big session. I'm very happy with it. I did, and I'll tell you why. I was looking at my heart rate and it was doing almost exactly between 40, 45, and 60 seconds what it was doing. So I did a 3-mile buy-in, 12 by a quarter, 3-mile cash out. So 9 miles of work. Okay.
Buy-in as in warm-up or buy-in as in moderate work?
As in like 5:25 pace. So
Okay.
real work. I cashed in and bought out at 5:25-ish or under for those 3 miles, and then ran my
Okay.
quarters. But point being is, after my 3-mile effort, and then I gave myself 60 seconds rest between the quarters. So I guess I really gifted myself with extra rest here in this
That's right.
session. But my heart
My
rate was
session was
getting
way better, just so we're clear.
yeah, my heart rate was getting up into the low 170s by the end of those quarters. And I was doing like a walk out and back to the start line sort of recovery just on the roads. And I was up staying high in like the 150, 155. And when I got to about 40, 45 seconds, drop, 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 drop. And I'd start my next rep in the mid 130s,
Mhm.
but it was up for like 30 to 45 seconds. It hardly moved. And then it only finally came down in those last 15 seconds. Whereas if I took away that 15 seconds and made it 45 seconds rest, I think it would have made a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that effort, for sure.
Yeah. It was just the last 15 seconds that it started to come down for me.
Yeah.
So I made note of that.
There's a school of thought for interval work, which is for certain types of interval, you recover down to X beats per minute.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter how long it takes. Rep 1, it might take you 25 seconds. And it might kind of go up and then stabilize and then start going up and by the end you might be at 80 seconds down to 130 beats per minute or 125, whatever your beat per minute is. And then the workout's done when you exceed your cap. Maybe it's a 30-second swing. Whatever the parameters you put in. If my first one's at 25 seconds to get down, then I can't exceed 55 ever. And the workout's done when I get that. Or it's done when I hit my reps, and whatever it takes to get down to 125 is. And it's an intriguing style of training.
Got to pick
but
that.
You can't program that into a watch.
You got to pick that limiter wisely.
Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then I must ask, is there anything on your calendar yet?
No, which is why I'm training the way I'm training. This is entirely building. Like even today, I used the first rep as my strides. I didn't do any strides prior to this. I ran easy, ran moderate. It was like I did a 15-minute warm up. I did 5 minutes at like recovery pace, 5 minutes easy, 5 minutes maybe moderate, and then just did a little bit of hip wiggling, threw my shoes on and got going. And I used the first rep to move from my moderate pace up to the pace that I'd a little under what I'd want to hold for the workout. So I'm easing into workouts that I wouldn't be doing that with a race on the horizon, but with the only goal to build and be able to build again in a few days and do that for hopefully months straight. That's the way I'm moving forward.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds smart.
No, I build myself a training plan on Google Sheets the same way I build for everyone else. And I have all my potential races on there. It's just that none of them are registered for yet. I just can't jump the gun on that process yet.
That's fair.
My goal is to get, and I think I've said this on here, but my goal is by summer to get to the point where I can irresponsibly jump into races and it's responsible. Like I can just say yes to things and that's fine. There's no repercussions for that.
Like you did in the past, in the good old days.
The good old days.
The good old days.
And I think that's a realistic timeline.
I think I'm going to jump into a couple road races this spring locally. Depending on the timing with Grandma's marathon. But I'll do my trail races that I typically do, I think, and then a few of the road races. And then if I want to thread the needle, I think I have to wait till April or May at the earliest to try to actually run fast in the 5K. I got an invite from Tyler German to join Minnesota Distance Elites workouts.
That's exciting. You should.
In the morning. They get together on Tuesday mornings and hit track sessions there at the indoor track at the U. I think they were at 6:30 this morning, and I assume his invite is good. Those guys are studs, as you know, like Dakota Lindworm, who's I guess she was the first female American at the Olympics in the marathon. They got a crew, by the way, brewing right now. But yeah, invited me open invite to come join them, which I thought was really nice. I think I might try to take advantage of that and just get worked. And I think if you want to get sharp.
It sounds weird, but like run with the girls. Run with the women there. They're 1440 runners.
Yeah, I don't know the setup, how their workouts are designed. Like today, I saw they did some 2s and some 1200s and then finished with a mile.
Yeah.
I just saw him post it, but I might take him up on that, which would be cool if I really do have the invite. I'll be the old bodybuilder looking man hanging out in
Yep.
the group comparatively. But I was thinking of doing that and then just, I think striking. We talked about this, but like now that it's warming up, I assume you guys are unthawing down there. Finally, we have some like blissful weather,
It's
right?
50 right now.
Yeah, it's 50 here and it hit 53 yesterday.
Last week, this
Um,
time it was negative 17.
Dude, it literally, I could go outside and run naked and be comfortable comparatively. Seriously,
Yeah.
other than being a little embarrassed
Yeah.
given the conditions.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like it is impossible, as I said in a recent podcast episode or two ago, to really actually get like, I would say 5K and under sharp, 10K and under sharp if you're running in conditions that are in the single digits only. And so I think I had this like fool's Jack gave me the idea, go to the BU Valentine Invitational, which just happened not too long ago and people ran fast. And it all sounds so good in theory. And I was like, yes, let's go do indoor races. It's That's setting yourself up for disappointment. Even
You
though
need a
racing would
track.
be good, you need some conditions at least once or twice a week that are sterile, that you can actually run without 3 layers on and
Mhm.
being blown in the face with a 20-mile-an-hour north wind in snow on
Yep.
slushy footing. So anyways, so I think I've become more relaxed about it. You told me to shit or get off the pot with the 5K, and I think it was great advice. And I agree with you. You kind of called me out on it, but I think still just choosing to strike once the conditions open up. And I've been offered to be paced even, and if it has to be in that environment or something. But I think I've been lone wolfing it so hard, man, for so long, and I like these workouts are grindy, and I don't even know my real potential. I
Yep.
was well within my limits today. I ran hard, but I ran very controlled, and I know that would be different with a group. And so maybe I need to take up some of these offerings. So that's been my recent top of mind.
Yeah, I don't think I could come up with a better scenario than once per week running with a pro group.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where if I were coaching you, I'd say do whatever they do Tuesday and we will rework the rest of the week to
Mm-hmm.
accommodate it because it's that important. Whatever stimulus you get, we will balance out on Thursday and Saturday. That's fine. I don't care what you do, but go
Mm-hmm.
do it because the power of the pack is so real, and it's more real. A, the bigger the volume gets, or B, the faster the pace gets.
Yeah.
As the
Talk about,
intensity rises, you're just limited by yourself.
I don't often feel imposter syndrome in my
Yeah.
life whatsoever anymore. And there's no doubt I walk in there with my tail between my legs, convincing myself that I should and can and belong
Yeah.
there if I do. Very much imposter syndrome. And, think about this. We had a guy when I was in college. His name was Skip Ratzak, David. Anyways, he had a great mullet in the 80s. He came to Oshkosh, ended up dropping out or leaving. He ran cross country and track, was one of the recruits, leaves, decides to come back like 12 or 15 years later and go back to school again and tries to be on the team at what I thought was ancient, like 35 or something like
Mhm.
that. And he was the weird, I mean, we all embraced him for what he was, but he was the weird guy. He was like, what is this guy doing here? This old washed up, like trying to be on the team. There was like an under the breath sort of thing. And it was kind of a joke a little bit. Right.
Mhm.
And not that I'm that, but I'm like, if a 41-year-old man walks into a pro training group, it looks about 30 pounds overweight, and he's 10 to 15 years everybody's elder, you got to be wondering, like, was that guy do? Like, really?
Yeah.
And so I know what would be going on in their head. And not that that matters because I'm confident enough to still show up. But, like, nonetheless, I'd be like, come on.
I
What's
get
this
it.
guy doing?
That's how I felt going back to Whitewater's alumni meet last year when I ran the 800.
Really? But it's an alumni meet. You're supposed to be there.
Yeah, but no one was running middle distance.
That's fair.
And you are, but even very few alumni came out and did anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then at the doing strides, I felt weird. At the start line, I felt weird. Afterwards, it was weird. Them all being like, "How old are you?" "Oh, 36. Wow, you ran so. That's. I wish I could. I hope I could do that at 36." And I'm like, honestly, just stop.
I would take that as a compliment. No, for real.
I would, but I don't want to be there yet. I don't
But
want to
it
be
doesn't
there
matter where you
good
are.
for a 36-year-old. I
At
wanted to just
36,
be
you're twice the age of the freshman.
Yeah,
You're old AF in their eyes. They can't even imagine how old, washed up, and decrepit they're gonna be at that
correct.
age.
And
And
I
then
am
you show
okay
up.
being old. I don't want to be fast for an old person. If there's a distinction there, it's important to me, or at least it felt important at the time. It was like, listen, I know what this is. I don't need compliments.
Mhm.
Just beat me and just acknowledge me afterwards and move on. Like I don't need platitudes, but at the same time, back it was actually the year before my best year of OCR. I was
Mhm.
at home in Wisconsin for the winter, and Julia Webb was in Wisconsin, Alan Webb's wife, and she was a Olympic trial steeplechaser, and
Mhm.
we did some track workouts together.
Oh,
And I just ran with her doing intervals, and it was a great winter of training. We ran
that
400s one day, we ran 800s, we ran thousands, we ran 4, 6, 8 one day. She was doing her workouts that her coach had programmed her, and I would just join her for it. And any day it was too fast, I'd do like a little something before. I mean, too slow, I'd do a little something before or compromise stuff after. But in most days, it wasn't too fast. I was just hanging on her shoulder and offering to lead reps whenever she needed it. And it was a great winter of training. So, like, I think you and Dakota would probably be great training partners. And no runner is going to turn down someone who can just like show up without an agenda and just say, I'm here to work, put me to work. If you want me to lead, I'll lead. If you want me to draft, I'll
yeah.
draft. If you whatever you want, I'm here to work.
I saw Dakota did a 3 by 2 mile workout today on her Strava, and I could have run those splits.
Yeah.
The last 2 were like 5 O's high, but I could have. I
Yeah.
could do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Um,
I'm
had a
not saying
similar
don't go
schedule.
run with the guys, but I'm saying the women there are running the times you're looking to run.
Annie Frisbee ran like 107 at Grandma's half, 108.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyways, um, those are the recent updates. But talk about showing up. I'm going to be taking a trip with my wife to Monterey, California, and we're leaving on the 14th of March. Surprise. I think I'll still record that week. We'll have to talk about it.
I
But
actually have a trip coming up too. We need to
okay,
talk about.
we booked a last minute trip. The mountains are right there. It's kind of off season there, but I want to get some good training and running in there. And a guy I mentioned on here, Dave Shashesky,
Mm-hmm.
who is my senior year or two, lives in Palo Alto. He's a doctor. I think he's an ER doctor. Anyways, he's in a build for Boston, and he's got one of his last long runs that Sunday that I'm out there of like purpose. And the guy's going out and running like 22 miles with a 540 something average with intervals in the mix. And so I was like, well, here's my chance. Dave, want to get together and show me around? So we're going to hit one of his last quality long runs together.
Awesome.
And I'm just at we'll see what happens there. So I guess I'm trying, but I mean, when's the last time you trained in a pack with intensity? I mean, it'd be such I'm sure we'd click right back in, but I can't
Yeah.
think other than a race. I haven't in
No.
decades. Have you?
No. I don't know. I don't know the last time I was in a pack. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Or leading a rep in quotes other than when you and I trained together. It was 2 people there.
Yeah, 2 people is probably the max I've done in maybe 3 in 10 years. I don't know. Maybe there's
How
been time.
how much better, barring health, do you think? Let's say you're disciplined, you're consistent, you're a hard worker, you're smart and purposeful, but you're a lone wolf. And there's a lot of people listening that are I'm in that boat. How much better do you think you would actually be if you were plugged into a group of your likes or better on a regular basis? Do you think it would make that big of a swing?
Anywhere from a half notch to a full notch better.
What does that mean? You really believe that?
Yeah. So like a 16 flat person becomes a 1530.
That much, you think, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do. Because for 2 reasons. One, you get more out of the workout, I believe. I believe that there is some power to running when you're not worrying about your stride. And there's something about running alone where you spend a lot of the time just thinking about what it takes to run that pace.
Mm-hmm.
And that is energy. That's inefficiency right there. When you're in a group, you spend half the time just thinking about the person's shoulder ahead of you. It's just extra rep. You go to do the same workout, you can do a full extra rep to 2 every time with a group without much cost. So your workouts are just better. You may run them faster, you may run them slower, but they're just better. But with that, you end up doing the little things more. Everyone warms up differently. And if they're doing more strides or they're doing more drills, you end up just doing it with them. Like I guarantee you and I do not do the level of drills and strides and core that we did in college before and after workouts.
Yeah, the core we did was kind of a waste of time comparatively, but the drills and strides.
Drills and strides. So what would happen if we did those again? How much better would our stride get? How much more efficient? Like if it's 1%, that helps. What if it's 4%? You know, they said they built the
1%
whole
is enough.
shoe over 4% efficiency improvement.
What's 1% over a 5K? Tens of seconds.
Yeah. So
depending.
anyway, my point is I do believe it's like a half notch better or a full notch better being with a group. I do. You have less bad days. You have less meh days. The days you feel like crap rolling out of bed disappear and get better way quicker with a group.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do more finishers. You do more. Oh, this guy's adding on 200s at the end. All right, I'll do 200s with you. Didn't change your middle of the workout. You probably would have worked just as hard, but now you're doing some more skill work. Even once a week for you, I think it would change your fitness immediately.
Yeah, might have to take them up on it. We'll see. Then you can come up, take them up on it too.
Yeah, I'll come hang on her for the first mile of her 2-mile reps.
Heck yeah. There's something else I wanted to ask you about. Oh, I said to an athlete I was working with, I couldn't tell what shoe they were wearing doing a sled push. One of the High Rocks guys, Tony. It was a weird video, but he sent it to me and I couldn't tell his shoe. And I said, is that the Endorphin Pro? And he said, yeah, it's the 4. And when I thought about it, I think the Saucony Endorphin Pro is the best jack of all trades super shoe out there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that statement?
I agree.
Master of none.
None.
But you can guarantee to put it on your foot and be happy with it from literally quarter-mile repeats to the marathon to a High Rocks, I think.
I would say of all the shoes I've ever put on that are super, it's in the bottom 25% of making me feel faster.
You know what other shoe I'd put in that?
Puma.
Not like the early Vaporflies.
People love the earlies more than the currents. A lot of
But I have the earlies. I ran in them today. That's what I ran my workout in. I have a direct comparative. And I'm like,
interesting.
I don't know. It's a good shoe, but it doesn't feel super.
Yeah. But it's in the top 25% of everything. Shoes I could run easy runs in, shoes I could run long runs in, shoes that would beat me up the least, shoes that I'll roll my ankle less easy compared to others, shoes that I can change direction or not get hot spots in my foot. Like it's approachable.
Mm-hmm. So you agree?
I do.
Is there another shoe that would fit that category for you?
I don't think so, honestly. No. I haven't run in all of them, but no. Because I could take I could take an Endorphin Pro and run, if I had to wear it for a 1-mile race, I would, and I wouldn't approach that race with like a lack of confidence. Yeah. I may think I could feel a little faster in a different shoe, but like I could do it. And I could say the same thing all the way up from 5K, 10K, marathon, 50K, stadium race, High Rocks. I could use that one shoe. If you wanted a one shoe quiver, it'd be the Endorphin.
That's how I feel about it. And I find myself going back to it when I'm like, I don't want to give myself, I've been not trying to wear my alphas too much. And I'm choosing non-super shoes quite often now. Okay. And then just giving myself like the joy of them. And I'm trying not to abuse alphas. So I've only worn them like once in the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks. Oh, anyways. Wow. Yeah, I wore them for a long run this weekend. It was blissful. It was like, oh yeah, I know I like these things. But point being is I find myself choosing the Endorphin Pro just because it feels like I'm not like cutting corners or getting free speed yet. I know I'm going to be happy with how it performs and my metrics are.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't choose it for any one race out there or any one workout or any one purpose. There's a better shoe at every purpose for me. Every single purpose, every pace, every race. But if I was traveling and they said there's going to be a race when you at some point in your vacation and you can only have one shoe along, that's the one I would bring.
I mean, yeah, it's a good logic.
If I
I
didn't
can't.
know what the test was, that one would check every box. So that's what I would choose.
I'm thinking of getting another pair just to have around because mine are starting to get some mileage in them. But I want to pepper you with a couple questions I've been rattling around in my brain as I'm trying to sort out. Are you cool with that?
Very.
And we would do this, folks listening, in a very less structured format if we were just chatting. But the two main things that I'm starting to think about in regards to threading the needle in like a June marathon, but this could be in relation to any race. If I choose, the two questions are, if I choose to be a 5-day-a-week runner, which I am currently by choice, I'm doing no supplemental cardio, by the way. It means 2 days of non-running. However, I haven't taken a day off of training in 5 weeks straight. I haven't missed a day. So 7 days a week, I'm doing something, whether it's purposeful strength or purposeful running. Strava just gave me some kudos on like a 40-day active streak or something. Anyways.
I'm on 2.
Nice. Excellent. But I record my strength workouts on there too. So
I'm on 3.
There you go. So the two things I'm waffling over is if I stay a 5-day-a-week runner, what do you think like reasonable mileage per week, which is sort of arbitrary. We talked about how we think about volume a couple of weeks ago, but I'm waffling over like, if I work to 60 a week on 5, is that adequate? Or where do you end up leaving potential on the table? What are your thoughts on that?
What is that? 8? That's 12 a day?
Yeah, roughly. I've been roughly about 50 to 54 a week right now.
So that's 84 miles a week if you had done 7?
Sure.
So you're on pace for that?
It's not that, though. That's the thing.
No, but every 2 and then every 3 days it is that. So It's not a 1-to-1, but it's the poor man, every man's approximation of an 84-mile week. So
without being close to an 84-mile week, I mean, there's
correct. But saying if I could run 84 miles a week, would 74 be enough? This is like doing that. So
you think?
I think something happens above 50 miles per week.
I agree with you.
Now, where that number is above it is different for each person, but I tend to run into initial fatigue that mounts greatly around 60.
Where you almost get behind on it sometimes.
Where I feel like I'm running today in order to hit my mileage for the week, not because it feels appropriate. And then I get used to that. And then it happens again at 70. And it's harder to get used to that for me there. So somewhere in there, I think that magic point is staying just below whatever that mileage point is that I'm running today, or this extra mile or 2 today, only because it will give me the number at the end of the week, not because it feels even that useful right now. I think cutting it there is where it starts. And then your volume progression just goes with keeping that feeling. So I don't know where that ceiling and floor is for you right now. But
what would you need to run to be confident? The thing is like if you go to 6 days a week running, I ran 12 on Monday. I ran 14 today. I'm already at 26 in 2 runs.
Yeah.
That's how marathoners train even. But a marathoner would put in a PM run today and probably get 20 on the day, where I'm going to not do a PM run. Yeah. But point being, like, or you just bump to 6, but like availability is the best ability, as you've coined, and knowing that I can maybe stay healthy at 5, but then pressing my luck at 6, what's the point? So it's like I'm starting to waffle over all of those things.
I think that there's real merit in the idea of accumulated fatigue for long distance racing. And marathon starts long distance racing. There's real merit with that. However, the allure or fear of, am I doing enough, or can I do more, or I need to do blank, is the main driver, the main thing responsible for why the marathon distance is the hardest one to make it to the start line of. So while yes, like it's more is better for the marathon, it's like right up until it isn't, and we don't know until it's too late. So for the first one, I I would ride the line under, where other people are intentionally riding the line of, many of my runs feel like I'm only doing this because the plan says to. And that's the magic of this. I'm going to feel that every day and every day and every day and every day. And then I'm going to remove that and I'm going to race.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're a candidate for that simply because of, have you ever strung that together or had success with that in the past?
Yeah, 2017, 2018, maybe, till I got injured.
But like, what was your
Yeah,
volume then? Your mileage?
60 and 6. But there
60
was
and 6.
terrain and there was stupid bucket carries and there was like
Yeah.
on paper it didn't look crazy, but like you look at what the substance was of that volume, you're like, ugh, it's a lot of work.
My belief is if you're doing long workouts, which you are and will continue to do, the overall running volume on top of that is less necessary. It's
If you're doing
nice.
big sessions and
Yeah.
hitting your long runs,
Yeah.
appropriate distance. Yeah.
It's nice if you can afford it. But marathon training is one of those things you don't know if you can afford until the race is done.
Till the start gun goes off.
Yeah. But how many times do people get to mile 10 and be like, that thing is back? And
Sure.
now, so I don't know.
Okay.
I think starting with 50, 55, and then just,
Well, that's what I've been at.
then bump it to 60 and play there for a bit. What would I need to do to be confident in a marathon? I don't know. Because
That's
immediately I'm like, I think I'd want to build the 80.
Yeah.
But what happens after 60 or 70? I don't know. Like, when do I get to 90% of the way there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that at 60? Is that at 70? Is that at 50? And I didn't realize it? I don't really know.
60, all 60 looks like is what I'm currently doing, but I actually start like hitting my long runs appropriately for the marathon. I could do nothing differently Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Draw out my long run to marathon-esque duration in training, 20, 22. And there I'm that's it. That's my only change. That's not much.
And maybe that's what it starts with every other week.
Yeah. The other question I wanted to bounce off you is I'm also waffling over. I hope people are going to learn something from this because this is just my own internalism because I write my own programming and you do as well, right? Like I coach myself, so I have to figure this stuff out, and a lot of it goes by feel. But the one I'm waffling over here is I'm a ways out, so the marathon it's still 4 months out. So 4 months out. So we're way ahead of ourselves here. But for example, if I were racing a half marathon, okay, I did 9 miles of quality today, a 3 mile on both ends. And that's enough. I don't think I need to go any further than that for my half marathon training. Like as far as the quality volume of a session, I've capped it there. I think that's enough. And that's what I hit my last build only a couple times. The marathon's also uncharted territory. Does that mean this session now, like, do you have to go 12 to 15 miles of quality on a few purposeful strikes, 5x5 or 3x5 miles, 5x3 miles, in and outs of 15 miles, float style sessions? Like, I'm trying to draw it out and figure out where's like, I'm going to get my return, but not be burnt by the time the start line comes. And so the question is the volume of the quality work. Where is the cap there? Because you see somebody like Minnesota Distance Elite and Dakota just did a 3x2 mile today. She's racing Boston, I believe. 3x2 miles, nothing for those ladies. That's 6 miles of quality, and they're racing a 26-mile race. And so I know that's not the bulk of what they do. And I also know Minnesota Distance Elite really likes that long run where they start to grind. Like they'll go out and put in 22 and they'll make it at pace, right? And they'll start working. But point being, what are your thoughts? Like, I don't know. Like in my head, I think like 12, but does it need to be longer than that?
It depends which session of the week it is.
Well, correct. You're right. And I'm saying like you're big, like I am running at marathon pace or even faster for long mileage, not the spicy turnover efficiency VO2 max stuff. I'm talking the traditional marathon work.
Yeah. I personally don't know if I'd even touch marathon pace more than once or twice a month.
Yeah.
I would do more at half marathon to 10K pace,
which is what I do
in that 9 to 13 mile range of work total. Warm up, cool down, all that. 9-ish miles 6 to 9 of quality in there, that would be every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I would keep your big ones you're talking about few and far between.
Every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what does that big one look like? I think that's really the question. For me at hand, does that look like you're in a 20-mile long run and you go 3 miles on, 1 mile off, and you end up putting in 15 of that mileage at quality? Do you have a big structured Tuesday every 3 weeks, which I'm going to be doing 12 of these miles quality? I don't know. I think that's what I'm just, and I'll feel it out, but that's where we're trying to suss out.
I think I'd spend as much time between 70 and 90 minutes as possible.
It's like anytime you put your shoes on, that's what it is.
Maybe not. My easy runs would probably all be around an hour. But anytime I'm putting it on with purpose, I'd want to be getting 70, 90 minutes of work in.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other weekend, big boy stuff, 18 to 22.
Progress to marathon pace and hold the last 8 miles. Or
things like that, 3x5K.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But even 3x5K only gets you 9 miles.
That'd be my in-between weeks.
Right. I know we're saying only. I don't mean to this conversation probably sounds so I don't know.
A marathon's big. It's long. If you're going to do it, you got to do it, right?
If you're going to do it right, there's completion, there's completing and not dying, and then there's threading a needle, right? There's completion with purpose, and then threading the needle. And I don't want completion with purpose. I want threading the needle. And to do that, you see Connor Manson, Clayton Young, they put all their stuff out there you can see. And it's really interesting. I can't figure out, obviously, my wheels are, you can tell now my wheels are starting to spin here as the spring's coming. And you see them do a 20-mile run on a Wednesday. And the last 4 miles, they press at 4:30 pace. They literally run 6:30 to 7-minute pace, and then they're forced to finish hard. They run the 4:30s and 40s for a 4-mile tempo to finish what looks like that's a staple they seem to be doing.
It's like their midweek long run.
Yeah.
But what's 4:30 pace for Connor right now?
Marathon pace.
Half marathon pace, right?
Yeah.
He ran 4:31 or 4:33 in Houston. Pace. So that's half marathon pace to end a long run.
I guess if I thought about it, maybe I could do it if I was having a good day.
So if we could do 2/3 of what the pros are doing, I think we're doing well for ourselves. So if that's a midweek long run for them, that's a quality long run for you on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
One of the weeks. And then the other week, it's either something sharper and more purposeful or longer and slower. I think there is benefit to doing 2.5 hour, 2.5 hour long runs, but easy. And I think there's a lot of 70 to 90 minutes where I'm either closing hard or working throughout the middle.
Yeah, which is mostly what I'm doing now, honestly, already.
Yeah. I would do your first one as you've been training because you can handle it, and I'd lengthen my long run and lengthen my medium long run. That would be the only change I think I would make.
Yeah.
Marathon pace is not a chore for you. The chore is going to be how aerobic can you be at that pace?
Correct.
Which working 10K, the half marathon pace helps. And how long can you just keep recruiting that same stride for race day, which down. Long work is important. That's why the long work is important.
And then all the while, my mistress, the 5K is there what about me? What about me? What about me? Spend some time with me. And I'm oh, you're so annoying.
Yeah.
But I got to deal with that. Do you have anything? Okay, that's all I wanted to ask you today is a buddy getting your thoughts. Do you have anything that you're waffling over right now or anything?
You asked what races I have on my calendar.
Yeah.
I've signed up for none. I have 3 1-mile races on my calendar, Kirk.
What?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Tell me how this came to be.
Well, because there's the Wisco Mile every year, and I've wanted to run that, and I actually might be able to run it this year.
Okay.
So that is, let's see, that is June 14th. And then
You say what mile was that? Sorry.
The Wisco Mile.
Okay. Where does that
on,
take place?
on the track at Wisconsin Lutheran High School.
Okay.
So it's a mile
Mhm.
and a quarter from my house. So
Do they
that is,
have oh, sorry, let me just keep interjecting. Do they have other races there?
yeah. So they have a 5K and all the rest are miles.
Okay. Okay.
And they have a bunch of them.
One
Yeah.
of those things like the Twilight 5000, you seed yourself, you get put in a heat and you rip.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And it goes from like community open mile all the way up to they have an elite mile where people try to break 4.
That's awesome.
And they did last year.
That's so interesting. You're looking at the short stuff. I love it. Going back to your roots.
And ultras. That's all I'm interested in now in short and fast and ultras. I don't know
Okay.
why. Then 2 weeks later, there's the Dairyland Mile. I wasn't even aware of this until I was talking with someone who I might be working with moving forward. They live in the area. And there is a Friday night, Saturday night mile road race series that follows the Criterium bike race. And one's in Shorewood, one's in Milwaukee.
Oh yeah. They still
And
have the Criterion bike race. That was going on when I lived there.
that was the Schlitz Park Miler, I think, and that is now no longer, but they have a different one. So there's actually back-to-back nights of 1 mile racing. And last year, one was won in 418 and one was won in like 425.
Perfect.
And then there's just like people every few seconds behind that all the way up. And then the
That's
week
a
after
straight road
that,
race. That's a road mile.
road mile. But it's a Criterium bike course, so it's a squarish
Perfect. Yeah.
course, a lot of
Yeah.
turns. And then
They get good crowds for those too, by the way. Like that's a good one where the roads get lined with crowds for that style, and you might be running through people most of the race.
I've run back when it was the Schlitz Park Miler in Schlitz Park. It was a Criterium road race, and then we did the mile. I ran that 2 or 3 times.
And was pretty well attended and crowd and all
Yeah,
that.
I raced Ryan Meisen, Scotty Mueller, Jack Hackett, like
Do you know
the who's
I
who of Wisconsin running.
I lived in the Schlitz Cooper lofts
Did
when
you
I
really?
was in Milwaukee. That was the last place I lived before I moved to Madison. Yep,
Yeah,
right in there. I'm
there you
very
go.
familiar. All right.
And that was a fun race, and it had a little hill in it, which was weird. You probably gained 60 feet of vert in the mile.
Yeah, there's that sort of bang. I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, there's that hill.
Yeah, from like 300 to 500. It's right up a hill, and
Hmm.
it's not gradual. And you run down it, and then it's flat 300 to the finish. But
Yep.
anyway, so that's 2 weeks after actually the Wisco Mile, and then 2 weeks after that is the July 4th mile race. So what
Could
I'm
you think of a
considering,
better cadence of every 2 weeks? Perfect.
yeah. So what I'm considering doing, not considering, what I've planned out is just Tuesday threshold, slightly sub threshold work, and then Friday minimum effective dose of mile work, and then Saturday medium long run 1 week, long run the next. Both the long run being dawdling and optional cut down, and the medium long run having call it marathon effort throughout it.
Mhm.
So ultra training with a mile workout, but a mini mile workout on Fridays, the day before my long run, and do that all the way through July.
Minimum effective dose of mile training is like an interesting thing to think about
Very much so.
because it's such a short race that you're still relying on the backbone, which is your engine, and all you need to be is efficient enough
Right.
in that stride.
So there's no way for me to know what the minimum effective dose of a mile workout is right now. So what I'm truly doing is maximum no recovery dose.
That will have to change at some point.
Correct.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, and maybe I can progress it out like this. But I'm doing, like, for example, I have that 140-meter stretch in front of my house. So 8 to 10 reps of that at starting at mile pace and cutting down slightly every single rep, like tenths. It's 800-meter effort by the end of it. Did 8 reps of it last Friday. And as soon as I do one where I realize, all right, if I do many more of this, I'm going to be noticing it tomorrow, I just do one more and I'm done. So it's really maximum recoverable dose, not minimum effective dose, because I don't know what's effective, because any amount of those will make me better right now because I haven't done form work, drill work, speed work.
You know what I kind of like for this now that you I don't remember if this was on air or not, but We talked about like if you were to get ready for a hard 5K,
Mm-hmm.
where you're trying to PR or thread the needle or run my sub 15, a great like 2 mile time trial at pace, right? Like go on your own, go run 15 flat pace, but cut it at 3,200 meters instead of
Yeah.
5K, right?
Or
And feel
3K
it
or
out.
something right
Or
around there.
3K, right? And I kind of wonder if the same thing would apply. Like you go run 1,000 at
And I
like
will.
intended right, like hit a couple strikes of that, because I think that would be very helpful for I think 5K and under, feeling it and sitting in it just long enough. The marathon fitness is fitness. That's the thing. I say threading the needle, but it's like it will show through no matter if you nail it out of the gates or not, but not for 5K or under. You need to know what
Yeah.
you're getting into.
Yeah. Week 1, I'll probably run 800 meters at mile pace. In week
Yeah.
2 might be 2 by 600. In week 3 will be 1,000 meters. And next week will be 2 by 600 or 700, 600 or something. But like just dosing it a little bit, one time a week. Now, not this 1 week, like 4 weeks out from the race. Those are the 4 workouts just to feel it. But I said earlier, my goal is get to the point by June or by summer that I can just say yes to races. Well, to me, this training plan, I can say yes to races. Like I did 2-hour long run last weekend and medium this past weekend on the treadmill, and it was more moderate. And I did 90 minutes the week before. Like just keep doing that. I'm going to have the ability, plus my midweek long run and just uphill work, I'll have the ability to say yes to an ultra with 4 more months of this.
So big picture, barn, it goes well. Look at the late summer, fall ultra,
or right away in summer, whatever. But just the ability that I could say yes, and then every single Tuesday, either 3 or 6 or 10-minute threshold intervals. That gives me the engine to go whichever way I really want to. It'll support an ultra. It'll support a trail 20 miler. It'll support a 10K. If I wanted to run a 5K, great. Might be a little speed work needed, but every Friday I'm running mile pace. Now the efficiency box is checked, as is the resistance to just trying really hard.
Yeah.
So
the difference
this sets
between,
me up.
like if you want to run a 5K, so to speak, like the difference between speed work for a mile and speed work for a 5K is the volume of speed work you'd probably want to do if you were going to nail the 5K, right? I mean, you could get away with 3 by 3 by 200 meters and call it a successful mile session, but you would need to make that 6 by 6 by 200 meters to make it a 5K session, just exponentially bigger. But okay.
Well, then what that progresses into is I don't have a real second quality session, because my second one is I don't need recovery from it.
I would consider,
leaves me, I can add on anything there depending on what race I choose.
I would consider, you like to tinker.
Yeah.
If I were chasing the mile, I would be doing flat, fast, speed or overspeed training, just like you're talking about with minimum effective dosage to start. I would really consider some like anaerobic incline stuff to stay available, yet work the turnover, like the powerful open stride. What do you think about that?
The rower right now.
Oh,
so I did 10 by 3 minutes this morning, and tonight I'm going to go anaerobic on the rower.
Okay.
Because I don't believe I currently, the way some insertion points feel when I fatigue right now, I don't think I'm ready to do what I'm doing right now and run anaerobically. At least in any sort of dose that'll keep my anaerobic system primed. But I can crank on the rower if I want to. Or if I'm really trashed, like hamstrings or something, I could go on the assault bike. But my plan is to have this Tuesday be a double and have a anaerobic session in the evening on the rower to keep that in play. And then that gives me options for moving that to a run whenever appropriate. So yes, I'm thinking the exact same thing as you. And the reason I've started rowing instead of anything else is because that's what I was doing. Not this past year, but the year prior, I ran a decent road mile for me with my running not showing that I should be able to, but I'd been doing a lot of anaerobic rowing. That seemed to translate kind of well. So that's the plan currently right now.
See, I think you can cheat the system by, let's say it's a Tuesday and a Friday and a Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I feel like the system can be cheated a little. And I did this last week myself. Hit a very purposeful Tuesday, hit incline work on Friday with purpose, but the legs are still somewhat available to, like, if you wanted to hit another something of quality on Saturday, you can almost back to back it. You could do that with your machine intervals on Friday too. But I feel like it's like the cheat code would be like 10 by 60 seconds on, 90 seconds off, hard at like 15%. Like you're reaching those last 10 seconds, and then follow that up
Yeah.
with like a 20-minute tempo at the same grade or even lower. And I feel like, I don't know, I just like that would be a good way to stay available. You know the power of the incline trainer. I just don't know. I don't know how much you would utilize that in a mile training. Like the 5K, I can justify it. Is the mile to the point where like we need flatland efficiency only, or can we use it? You know?
I don't know. And I'm not looking to run the best mile of my life,
Yes, you are.
but I'm looking to run fast. So I think that decision gets made in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right now I just have to ensure that I get another week of it, and then another week, and then another week, and then I should have adapted to it, and then I can choose. But and maybe it looks like that minimum effective dose mile workout now ends with 2 by 800 at faster than 5K pace or something,
Yeah.
like just treating it all as minimum effective dose. Like, can I keep my anaerobic system kind of in play here? So I don't know what that's going to look like. I think it can be done uphill. I think it can be done flat. I think it can be done on the rower. And so I'm choosing rower until I've earned peace of mind with whatever the running version of that is.
Yeah. You're choosing to stay available.
Yeah. I just get excited. And so I have to have these safeguards in play. Because if I go to do an interval workout running, every single time is a risk that I'll feel good and do an extra rep.
And you should
So
maybe once in a while. Once in
yeah.
a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I still think that's a few weeks from now.
Hmm. All right.
I'm 37 and I have never been 37 before, and I have never trained for anything at 37. But the last time I really did was probably 35. And I just really want to be sure that I haven't made a mistake like I've been making over the past 6 years. Maybe it's gun shy. There are some people like, you're just gun shy. And then maybe that's true.
Rightfully
Maybe it's
so.
mental
That is
scar
the case.
tissue. Maybe it's an abundance of caution. All of it gets me to the same place, which is not hurt.
Yeah. All right. I have to go in 90 seconds or less.
Okay.
So my last question for you. As of today, your track shoe and your road shoe for the mile. If you had to choose today, the mile is tomorrow. What's the shoe on the track? What's the shoe on the road?
It's just going to be this Hoka Crescendo mid distance. It is the most cushioned plush shoe out there right now with no real plate, and that's as much as I should handle right now. By the time June rolls around, I'd like to either be in the Hoka, was it Cielo, or maybe the Dragonfly 2, something more aggressive. But right now I don't need that. So that is for the track. Absolutely. And on the road, I haven't run the mile in super shoes ever. And so I kind of want to match that. Like, I think the superest I would get on the road is like this right here, the New Balance RC Elite 1, where it has super foam. It has a plate, but you can see there's no stack height here. There's no real curve to the plate. There's no rock tip propulsion at all. It's just a peppy shoe. So I think that's about as maybe like the Adidas Takumi Sen or something. But
I do like the Vaporfly for a mile. I could see that being a good shoe on the track for the mile.
I would wear that. Yeah. Yeah. On the track, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't wear that on the track. On the road, I want an apples to apples comparison. On the track, I'm going to wear whatever allows me to run the same stride with a lap to go as I run the first lap. That's really all that's important to me right now. I'm not moving fast enough to need spikes.
Yeah, sub 430 pace isn't fast enough, whatever, Brakken.
For spikes? I mean, like I said, that's Connor Mans's half marathon pace.
Yeah, but elite collegiates are running the 5K at that pace in spikes, the majority of them.
True. Maybe that's the wrong thing. It's fast enough. I don't think my legs can run the same stride in spikes for a full mile currently.
That's fair. All right. Well, we're gonna have to sweep the rug from underneath us because it is time.
All right. Do you have 30 seconds?
I mean,
I want to cap this with a shot shooting.
Okay.
You're looking at a race right now. What is your goal time to run? If you want to squeeze in a 5K, if you want to do a half marathon, a marathon, like the next race you run, what is the time that's in your head?
2:27 anything in the marathon.
Love it.
I want to go sub 2:28 And I think if I can go 2:27 in anything, I can win the Masters Grandma's Marathon, and I would feel like I may have done the last big thing I need to do.
Okay. I love it.
And then actually the other thing is I want to go under 2 hours at the Zumbro Trail Race in April and break my old Masters course record. Those are the two things actually immediately that I care about, and then I figure the 5K can come after that or en route, but it's actually not top of mind right now. It's those two. What about you for the mile?
I want to run my high school mile time.
Which was?
PR is 426.9 or 427.0, depending who you ask.
I love that. My high school mile time was 4:31. I improved greatly when I got to college.
Yeah.
I think I could do that. That's quick. Got to run 4:25.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just match it. I just want to match it
to the 100th. All right.
4:30. I mean, break 4:30. That's it. First one, I want to just break 4:30.
And that actually, it sounds like approachable for a guy like you, but like that is 2.5 laps of pain.
Yeah, it's gonna
Maybe
get bad
3.
at 600 to 800 somewhere there.
Yeah.
But
all right. And I don't know if you guys listening enjoyed this or you thought it was a waste of time. Maybe let us know. But this is how Brakken and I actually catch up. Maybe just slightly less formal, but like this is the stuff we hash out off mic. So
this is the conversation we were having the day we decided we should record this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. All right.
See ya.
See ya.